So I think one thing that's unique, also a couple things I wanted to mention about how you approach things is, I know you're involved with the whole phishing / business email compromise, and that's probably an interesting part because people probably didn't necessarily think of that
Yeah.
as a solution. And then also the kind of working throughout the whole life cycle of security. You work with clients each year and kind of set goals to improve their security posture. Maybe people don't always think of a detection and response company, help on the proactive side. Do you want to comment on those?
Sure, yeah. So the phishing one was interesting because what sort of our mission statement as a company is we make space for people to do what they love about security. Like we make space by giving you back time. You don't have to do alert triage, things like this. And so we started out traditional infrastructure, built out the cloud offering. And then what we discovered was people came back and said, cool, that's super awesome. But the thing that's burning me down now is I get these emails submitted to this phishing inbox and I got to deal with them, right? Like I can't, if the CFO sends in a thing saying, is this phishing? Like you're not going to turn that around in 24 hours. You're going to turn that around fast, right? So this was kind of burning folks up, and it's really kind of annoying work. There's a bunch of little, like corner cases and stuff. There's a reason SOAR vendors have gone after it. It's actually kind of a pain point. And we looked at this and we said, could the same decision support, same engine, same normalization, same machine learning engine, that sort of stuff apply in the phishing case? Can I make analysts combat effective deciding phishing or not against email that is fundamentally a business oriented function? Because if you think about it, deciding whether something is phishing or deciding whether something is spam, it requires a lot of business context. So it's a really good challenge. What we discovered is actually, yes, we can. We actually are pretty good at it. We're pretty fast at it. And one of the other things that's really nice is we've discovered along the way all of the kind of interesting things like, if you want to discover whether something's phishing or not, one of the things that's really useful is if there's an address in the, the PO request or whatever, look up the address on like an MLS listing, because if it's a 2-bedroom ranch style house in like, San Diego, probably not the world headquarters of some manufacturing company or just out of a thing. So we learn all those kind of interesting tips and tricks. So like, that's been kind of an interesting journey. The other thing is, in addition to giving our customer space, it's provided us a really great way to get people interested and into cybersecurity in a slightly like less high impact way, because taking somebody kind of like new on the journey and putting them on this, like the hot seat on an MDR on a night shift, that's rough. Right. But having them start with phishing and then graduating the MDR is actually kind of a nice career path. So we've done a lot of that. To address your second question about life cycle, absolutely. One of the things that I find a little disappointing, quite frankly, is there seems to be sort of like two camps in security. There are probably more than that, but like for the purposes of this discussion, there's people who do like alerts and we're working the glass 24/7, we do things. And there's people who try to like improve the business. So they talk about like NIST CSF or like strategy or whatever. And marrying the two of those worlds tends to be something that eludes people a lot. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, when we started the business, we're like, look, if we have statistics on what tends to happen, and we can come back to you and say, if you would do these things, this would happen. You can make a business case out of that. The other thing, and so like we can literally come in and say, look, 37% of the time we see this, it's a result of this. Your control is not on. If you turned it on, it's going to have this impact. We can get proactive there. But the thing that's even cooler is, and this is like an aha. We ended up a couple of times. We have the platform can do automatic cohort analysis. It can say like these customers are like these customers, and we end up in a situation where we'll look and we'll say, well, your response time, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, is 2 times better than anyone else in your cohort. And we've had this happen with the customers like, excellent, I'm going to take that to my board of directors because that's the result of 2 quarters worth of investment I've made in the team and all our response things. It gives you an ability. If you focus on the data, if you focus on these metrics, you can actually see measurable statistical impact in what's going on in your environment, right? So like we've had customers turn on a control and we've watched alerts for a particular thing drop off the map. Mm-hmm. This is awesome stuff. It just seems like it's awfully hard to get people in that mode of bridging those two worlds.
That's one of your, I think, key differentiators also is the amount of time, the turnaround time on something. Your opportunity to detect something, you have a pretty high goal for yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we, one of the whole point of the platform, because we believe that if you let stuff sit, it's like fish, it doesn't get better sitting around. And ransomware, you need to get ahead of it, right? Like you have a few minutes to get ahead of ransomware. And if you don't, then hope you have some backups. Right. So what we've got is the whole system we built is around decision support and getting to a decision. Is this a thing or is this not a thing as fast as humanly possible? So for instance, right now, our 98th percentile for critical criticals is 1.2 minutes from the time it hits our queue to the time an analyst makes a decision. 98% of the time, it's less than 1.2 minutes, right? If you extend that out to mediums, which is most of the stuff we tend to see, it only goes up to 7 minutes, right? So we can be median alert to all the way to remediation, all the way to fix in 21 minutes, right? And that gets us ahead of most classes of thing as long as we can get the detection signal in. So that is, and that's a thing that people want to be able to do. And if you're running a business where you have people that are working late hours, you're working around the clock, something like this, you want to be able to maintain that, right? The number of people I talk to are like, well, I've got a couple of people, they work normal business hours. Like, okay, so your actual time to respond, if it comes in at 5:01, is going to be 12 hours. Like, that's not good. That, like, you need, so that's one of the places where a 24/7 facility really comes in handy, and having that, like, people are frosty all the time.
Mm-hmm.